Hi, in this video we're going to be talking about converting measurements, and so that would be something like when I need to convert feet to inches or meters to kilometers, something like that. And so we're going to start with the metric system. Now, most of the world uses a metric system. We don't use it as much here in the United States, but we probably should because it's such an easy system to use, because everything in the metric system to get from one unit to the next is based on a power of 10. And so we're either multiplying or dividing by a power of 10, which is easy to do because all we have to do is move our decimal place. And we're going to either move it to the right or to the left, depending on whether we're making our unit bigger or smaller. So the metric system always starts with a basic unit. And the basic units in the metric system are grams. So I'm just going to use an abbreviation. Grams, meters, and liters, and they capitalize the L so that it doesn't look like a 1. But the G stands for gram, and the M stands for meter, and the L stands for liter. And the gram, you're going to be measuring the weight of something. With meters, you might be measuring the length of something, and then with a liter, you would be measuring the capacity of something. And then each of these uses the same prefixes, depending on if you're getting bigger or smaller. So if I want to go up from a gram or a meter, then I would use a decameter. And that is D-E-K-A. And the abbreviation for deca is D-A. And if I continue to go up, then I'm going to use a hecto prefix, and the abbreviation would be H. So I would pair that with one of these and have a hectometer, or HM. And if I continue to go up, I'm going to use a kilo, or K. And then like a K in front of a G would stand for kilogram. If I want to make this unit smaller, then I'm going to use a different prefix. I would use deci, or just D, centi, or C, and milli, or just an M. And so again, if I put the prefix in front of the basic unit, like MM would stand for millimeter. All right, and so from the basic unit, if I want to go smaller, if I'm trying to make a smaller unit, then I'm going to move my decimal point to the right because I'm multiplying. If I'm converting to a larger unit, then I'm going to move my decimal point to the left because actually what I'm doing is dividing by a power of 10. So let's see how this works. All right, so for every metric conversion, you should ask yourself these 3 questions. Am I moving up or down the stairs? And what they mean by this is we've arranged our prefixes sort of like a staircase. And if you're moving in the direction of the smaller units, then you're going to be moving your decimal point to the right. And if you're going from, let's say, a meter to something larger, then the decimal is going to be moving to the left because you're moving to a larger unit. All right, and so you also want to know how many places you're moving up or down the stairs, and then which way you move the decimal. And the way you move the decimal will be determined by which way you're going up or down. All right, so here's an example of how we might use this. 10 millimeters. I want to know what is the equivalent value of 10 millimeters, but I want to know what it would be measured as a centimeter. All right, so if I look for millimeters here, because it would be an M, right, so millimeters, and I'm going to move up to centimeters because I'm going to up the stairs. All right, how many steps? Well, I just had to go 1 step, and since I'm going up the stairs, I'm moving to the left, then that's what I'm going to do to convert the measurement. So I start with a 10. My decimal is behind the 0. If I move it 1 place to the left, my decimal ends up between the 1 and the 0. So I know that 10 millimeters is really 1.0 centimeters, or just 1 centimeter. All right, so let's try these other conversions using the same method. So I'm starting with mg. So M, the prefix M stands for millimeter, or milli. In front of the G means milligram. So here's the M, and here's the G. I'm moving this direction, so to the left. I need to know how many steps, so 1, 2, 3 steps to the left, and I'm going to go the same direction. So I'm going to go 3 steps to the left because I'm going up the stairs. So I start with 1,000, and I move 3 places to the left. It's going to be between 1 and 0. So 1,000 milligrams is equal to 1 gram. All right, if I look at the next one, 1 liter, I'm going to convert that to milliliters. So this time I'm starting with the basic unit here, and I'm moving to a milliliter here. So I can see if I count 1, 2, 3, I'm moving 3 steps down. This time I'm moving down, so that's going to be to the right 3 places. So I want to start with 1. I'm going to move 3 places. So I need to add a decimal in order to be able to move it 3 places, and then I'm going to have to add some zeros as well. So 1, 2, 3 places. That tells me that 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. All right, for centimeters to millimeters, again, I'm going to go back to my stairs here. Here's centimeters, here's millimeters. Looks like I need to just go 1 step down or 1 step to the right. I'm going to go back to my number, 160. I'm going 1 step to the right, that's this direction. So I'm going to add a decimal and a 0 and move it over. So this would be 1,600 millimeters. 14 kilometers, I'm going to change that to meters. So if I look again at my stairs, the kilometers are up here, the meters are down here. I need to go 1, 2, 3 steps to the right because I'm going from here to here. So if I start with the number 14 and move 3 steps, I need to add a decimal. And I'm going to have to add some zeros in order to be able to move it 3 places. So this ends up being 14,000 meters. 1,009 grams, and I want to convert that to kilograms. So I'm starting with grams and moving up to kilograms this time. So 1, 2, 3 places to the left. So I go back to my number. And my decimal starts back here. If I go 3 places to the left, 1, 2, 3, it ends up in front of the 1, so 0.109 kilograms. And then the last one, again, I have a meter, and I want to go to kilometers. So I'm moving 1, 2, 3 steps to the left. And do the same thing down here. 250. My decimal starts here. I'm going to move 3 places. 1, 2, 3. It puts my decimal in front of the 2. So 0.250. All right, so really easy for metric conversions. You just have to remember basically the order of the prefixes. And oh, I forgot to tell you. That's what this up here stands for. King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk. That's one way you can help you remember what these prefixes are. So the K for kilo, H for hecto, D for deca, B for a basic unit, and then D for deci, C for centi, and M for milli. So King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk helps you to figure out what order these units are in. Okay, so that's metric system. Now we want to look at how you can convert measurements when you're using our customary system. And by customary system, we mean the system we use most often here in the United States. The one we're most used to would be these types of units. So when we're going from feet to inches or tons to pounds and gallons to quarts. So really on this one, you just want to be familiar with the abbreviations for each of the units because that's what they're going to be asking for. Or that's how the questions are going to be worded with the abbreviations. All right, so when you're in elementary school and they teach you to convert units, they might teach you like if you're going from large to small, you divide, or if you're going from a smaller to a larger unit, you divide. And that still works, but because we have just used proportions, I want to show you how you can use a proportion in order to convert a measurement. I think it's really easy to do once you know about proportions because then you don't have to figure out whether or not you're multiplying or dividing. The proportion helps you figure that out. So if I want to convert 5 pounds into ounces, I'm going to start just like every other proportion with the words. So I'm going to use pounds, P for pounds, and O for ounces. And I'm going to set up my proportion. All right, so before I use the example they give me, I'm going to go back to this chart up here. And I can see that right up here it says 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. So that's going to be my first set of boxes. 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. And then I'm going to fill in with the information I get from the problem. So I want to know what 5 pounds is because pounds is on top. I'm going to put it up here. And then this is the one I don't know. So to solve this proportion, I know I need to multiply 16 times 5. That gives me 80. And then I would divide by 1. Well, 80 divided by 1 is just 80. So this means that 5 pounds is equal to 80 ounces. In the second example, I'm converting from ounces to cups. So I'm going to do ounces and cups and draw my boxes. And then before I do anything else, I'm going to look at this chart again and see where I have ounces and where I have cups. And that would be right here. So 1 cup, that would be down here, is equal to 8 fluid ounces. And I want to know what 28 ounces is, so that would be right here. And then X is what I don't know, that's going to go right here. So that tells me that I need to multiply 1 times 28, which is just 28. And then I have to do what? Divide it by 8. So I'm going to divide 8 into 28. It'll go 3 times with a remainder of 4. And I'm going to add a decimal, bring that up, add a 0, and bring it down. It'll go into 45 times. So that tells me that 28 ounces is equal to 3.5 cups. All right. So again, once you know proportion, converting measurements is really just setting up your proportion and solving. So let's try a few more exercises. This one is 5 pounds equal to something ounces. So I know I'm going from pounds. That LB stands for pounds. And then the OZ is for ounces. So I'm going to set up my boxes. And then look at my chart to see how many pounds and how many ounces. And know that when you take your star chest, they're on the star chart that they provide for you, a lot of these measurements are on there. And so we're going to give you a copy of that so that you can get used to using it. But for now, I'm just going to use the one at the top of these notes. 1 pound, where is it? Here. Okay, so it says a pound is equal to 16 ounces, so 1 over 16. I want to know how many 5 pounds is. That would go on top. So this is telling me I'm going to multiply 16 times 5 to get 80. So again, 80 ounces. 48 inches into feet, so I'm going to write inches over feet and set up my boxes. And I know from the chart, or maybe I know in my head, that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. And I'm going to put the 48 up here with the inches. And this tells me to multiply 1 times 48 and then divide by 12. So if I divide 12 into 48, it's going to go 4 times. So my answer is 4 feet. In this third example, I'm doing yards and feet. So set up your boxes. And then when I look at the top of my chart, it says that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. This is where I'm looking, right here. I want to know 6 yards, that would go on top. And then X. This tells me to multiply 3 times 6, that gives me 18 feet. I continue, 7 quarts and pounds. I'm going to, or pints, quarts over pints. If I look up here at my chart, tells me that 1 quart has 2 pints. And let's see, 1 quart, 2 pints. And I want to know what 7 quarts are, so that would go here. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 7 to get 14. Also, for quarts and pints in that whole system, don't forget the land of gallon, that little story. We're happy to share that with you if you've forgotten it, but that's another way you can remember how many pints and quarts are in a gallon. 8,000 pounds. So remember, LB stands for pounds. T stands for tons. Set up your boxes. There are 2,000 pounds and 1 ton. Okay, that's written up here. 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. All right, I want to know 8,000 pounds, what that's equal to in tons. So I'm going to multiply these two and then divide by 2,000. So 2,000 into 8,000 will go 4 times. Oops, 8,000. So this would be 4 tons. All right, this one, number 6, 3 1/4. Before I can convert this one, I kind of need to change this to a decimal. So I'm going to divide 4 into 1. It won't go. I'm going to add my decimal and 0. 4 going to 10 2 times. Subtract, I get 2. Bring down another 0. 4 going to 25 times. So this is really, I'm going to rewrite this as 3.25 because that's just easier to multiply by. I'm still going to use the proportion miles to feet. And if I look again at the information they provided me, I can see that 1 mile has 5,280 feet. This is one of the units not on your star chart, so this would be a good one to memorize. They tell you how many yards are in a mile, but not how many feet. All right, 3.25 miles. So I need to multiply 3.25 times 5,280. 0, 40, 14, 26. Start with a 0. 2 times 0 is 0, 16, 5, and 10. Start with 2 zeros. 3 times 0 is 0, 24, carry your 2, 8, 15. It's like 0, 0, 10, carry 1, 11, 15, 11, carry 1, 7, 1. All right, and then on this one, don't forget about where your, oops, sorry, this was a 6. Where your decimal goes. So I have 1, 2 decimal places here, so I need to move my decimal over 2 places here. So this ends up being 17,160 feet. All right, and the last row, 4 cups and fluid ounces. So I'm just going to use cups to ounces. I can tell at the top that it says that 1 cup is 8 ounces. So I'm going to fill in the 4 and then multiply. This would be 32 ounces. And the next one, I have cups and pints. So for cups, I'm going to use, let's see, there are 2 cups and 1 pint. And I want to know 6 cups that would go on top. So I'm going to multiply those 1 times 6 and then divide by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 3 pints. And the last one, 1/2 gallon. Again, because it's a fraction, I want to change that to a decimal first. So if I divide 2 into 1, I can't really do that. Change that to 0.5. So this is really 0.5 now. I'm still going to use gallons and quarts. And if I look at the information I've been given, it says that 1 gallon is 4 quarts. And I'm trying to figure out what 1/2 gallon is. So if I multiply 0.5 times 4, I get 20, but I have a decimal here, so I need to have 1 decimal here. So this is really 2 quarts.